me. If you knew me, that's not me. And then I spent another 35 minutes on the phone with her, calling to apologize for taking so much time for apologizing. I had some junk in my trunk. I had some issues of perfection that I needed to address. And if God couldn't get this out of me, He couldn't use me. So as God began to speak to me in my dorm room, several months of this, young people, because it was so deep in me, He began to pull out little by little the pressure that I put on myself to be perfect. Hadn't come from anywhere else, but from me. And God began to pull that junk out of my trunk. And I realized as He began to pull that out, that when I would look in the mirror, I would see that I really wasn't good enough. That really perfection, appearing to be perfect to everyone, was really the only remedy. Because I was never going to be good enough. And so God began to pull the junk out of my trunk. And He began to show me myself. That I thought I wasn't good enough. That no matter what I did, I would never measure up. I would always disappoint God, and I would always disappoint my parents. And if I wasn't good enough, who would ever want to be close to me? They would only be disappointed in me too. So God began to pull the junk out of my trunk and expose my heart. And as He began to expose my heart, I said, God, what would you do with my life then? I know in my own strength and my own abilities I'll never be good enough. I know in my own right I'll never make it. So God, all that I have left is to give you everything that I have. And I have nothing. I have nothing to offer you. And in those moments and in those years, God began to deal with me. And He began to speak to the deepest parts of my heart and tell me that He made me exactly how He desired, how He designed me. He wanted every part of who I was. And that all of this, all of these things that were being exposed to me was simply to show me that I wasn't my own after all. See, I was saved. I was serving God. But I still felt like I had to earn something in Him. That if I could just prove myself a little bit more, if I could just be in leadership, I'd mean something to somebody. But God had to pull that junk out. And can I tell you, as He began to do that He started to show me that there were things in my trunk that weren't necessarily bad things. There were things in there that were good things, but to Him, they were junk. Well, what do you mean, Miss Angela? I mean that I had hopes and I had dreams of great things for myself, making a name for me, being famous, being somebody, walking the catwalk in Paris and Milan, being a woman that people could look to as beauty, as something valuable, because I couldn't see it in myself. And God began to show me that even some of the good things that I had, like my dreams of doing good things for God, that I want to go on the mission field and I want to just see people touched by your power and I want to get the medical aid. I want to be a doctor to do that. So I'll go to a Christian college college and I'll become a missionary. But God showed me, Angela, that's good. And that is wonderful that you desire to please me like that. But you know what? Your good is enemy to my best. Your good can't even touch what I have. If you'll just give me your dreams, if you'll just give me your ambitions and your desires, if you'll lay them at my feet, I promise you, I'll give you the best. So I began to change the way I prayed. And instead of praying, God, let me do this and open the door so I can do this, I said, God, I give it all back to you. God, I give you everything that you've ever given me. God, even this good thing, Father, I give back to you. I lay down every ambition because I want your best. And as I laid that down, a dream of being a doctor and being a missionary in third world countries, to give aid to their physical and spiritual body. As I laid that dream down, God put one in my hand that I never dreamed. And he said, no, Angela, you won't go to a Christian college to learn how to be a missionary. You'll go to Boston College and you'll be a missionary. So I went to Boston College, and I met more favor than I could have ever dreamed of. You think, well, that's good, that's wonderful, but that wasn't it. See, after I got to Boston College and I gave up being a doctor, and education and achieving were everything to me because they're great things. But great things can be the enemy to God's best. And so I dreamt great dreams of attaining my master's degree and then getting my doctorate. If I couldn't be a real doctor, then I'll just get my doctorate. So I went to get my master's. And again, I prayed and I said, God, this is everything that I thought I would want. But Lord, I give it back to you. Because your word tells me that when I lose my life, when I give my life away, I gain it. So God, I give you my master's degree. And I give you my dreams. And I say, God, if that's what you desire for me, then I'll do it. But if it's not, I want your best, God. I desire your best, Lord. And God began to speak to me. And he said, daughter, you don't need a master's to serve the master.